What would you do if you knew there was a key inside you that could erase fear for good? What if you realized that what scares you most is just a shadow your mind created, and that you've been the one holding the lantern all along? Fear quietly hides behind every decision you put off, every dream left undone, every path you're too afraid to take. It's the fog that blurs the truth, the voice that whispers, "You can't, you're not enough. What if you fail?" But where does fear really come from? Is it a warning meant to protect you, a trick of the ego, or a sacred threshold waiting to be crossed? Today, we're going to dive deep into the spiritual side of fear. This isn't about trying to force fear away or just pretending everything's fine with empty positivity. It's about understanding where fear comes from, what role it plays in your soul's journey, and how you can turn it into a source of strength. Throughout history, wise teachers have said, fear is like a dragon guarding a treasure, and that treasure, friend, is you. Your inner light, your true self, your endless power to shape your reality. But to claim that treasure, you have to face the dragon, not with violence, but with awareness. In this video, we'll explore what fear really is from an energetic and spiritual perspective, why it often blocks us today, and how it's been used to control people. We'll look at ancient wisdom that shows how to rise above fear, share powerful practices to break free from its hold on your mind and energy, and show how stepping beyond fear brings you into alignment with your inner strength. Yes, you can be unstoppable, not because you'll never feel fear, but because you'll learn to walk alongside it, to accept it, and to transform its shadow into clarity. Fear doesn't disappear when you fight it. It dissolves when you truly understand it. You're about to cross a doorway, not a physical one, but an inner gateway to your deepest power, and all you need is the courage to look inside. Are you ready to awaken the warrior of light sleeping within? Fear isn't new. It didn't start with you or your generation. It's an ancient presence, a shadow walking alongside humanity since the beginning. To really get it and let it go, we have to follow its trail through history and forgotten teachings. Back in the earliest days, fear had a clear job: protection. It was the body's alarm when a predator was near, when fire threatened, or when ice closed in. It was helpful, even sacred, because it kept our ancestors alive. But over time, that alarm changed. When it wasn't needed for survival anymore, fear started reacting to internal threats, often imagined ones: rejection, humiliation, failure, loneliness. So fear shifted from being a survival ally to becoming a silent jailer of the soul. Old spiritual traditions, from the Vedas to Hermeticism, shamanism to Gnosticism, knew fear wasn't just an instinct, but an energetic force lodged in body and mind. They understood that wherever there's fear, there's an energetic barrier between us and our inner divinity. Vedic texts call this Maya, or illusion, the false belief that we're separate from everything. The Gnostics saw fear as a veil, keeping us trapped in limited views. The ego, the false self afraid of dying, feeds fear to stay in control. Shamans see fear as a living thing that can be faced, talked to, and transformed through ritual, vision, and expanded awareness. Even ancient philosophers thought deeply about fear. Epictetus said fear isn't about events themselves, but how we interpret them. Plotinus believed the soul frees itself by lifting its gaze toward the eternal. In Christian mysticism, fear is just the absence of love. John the Apostle put it simply: perfect love drives out fear, because where there is light, darkness disappears. From this view, fear isn't beaten by force or denial. It's transformed through awareness, love, and broader understanding. Fear is a door disguised as a shadow, one that only opens when we stop pushing and start watching. But today, fear has changed. It's not a lion's roar in the jungle anymore. It's anxiety about the future, money worries, fear of judgment, of not fitting in, not standing out, not succeeding. Still, at its core, it's the same primal terror. The fear of losing control, of ceasing to exist, of not being enough. That's why this spiritual reflection matters. Modern fear no longer protects. It limits. If you ignore it, fear quietly becomes your enemy, blocking your purpose, your potential, your peace. Ancient wisdom gives us a map. Fear is an illusion pretending to be reality, a messenger wearing the mask of an enemy. Now, as we bring this truth to light, we're ready to face the heart of the mystery. How do you truly dissolve fear? What happens when you stop obeying it? And what if fear isn't your enemy, but the toughest, wisest teacher you'll ever have? This paradox opens the door to a new way of seeing what's held us back for so long. To break down fear, you can't just reject it. You have to understand where it comes from, what it really is, and what it's trying to teach you about yourself. Fear is a mental pattern fed by emotional energy, an alliance between your mind and nervous system shaped over time. When you feel fear, you're not experiencing real danger or the future, but an internal image of what could happen. In other words, fear is imagination triggered by trauma, and here's the spiritual key. Fear itself isn't real. The experience of fear is. It hides behind logic, caution, and common sense, whispering, "Better not, wait until it's perfect. What if they say no? What if you fail?" But really, fear isn't protecting you, it's keeping you small. From an energetic standpoint, fear vibrates at a low frequency, tied to survival, scarcity, and mistrust. When it stays stuck in your energy field, it blocks the flow of life force, like a dam holding back your vitality from reaching the higher centers, where creativity, vision, and unconditional love live. The most surprising truth is that fear doesn't just disappear once you get what you were afraid you wouldn't. That's because fear isn't out there, it's inside you. You can have success, love, and good health, and still feel fear because it's not the world that creates fear, but your unconscious way of interpreting the world. This is where spiritual work really matters. The soul didn't come here to avoid fear. It came to rise above it, to go through the process of facing the shadow and, with presence and awareness, turning it back into light. Fear, then, is actually a disguised gateway, and whoever crosses it with courage finds their true power waiting on the other side. So, how do you do this? First, understand that fear is stuck energy, a vibration frozen by some past wound. Rejection, abandonment, humiliation, loss. That unresolved energy keeps replaying itself until it's freed. That's why we often attract what we fear, not as punishment, but as a chance to heal. Second, stop fighting it. What you resist sticks around. What you observe without judgment changes. Fear wants your attention, not your hate. Third, realize that behind every fear is a deep longing from your soul. If you fear public speaking, it's because you want to be heard. If you fear rejection, it's because you long to give and receive love. Every fear points to an unclaimed treasure. Real inner work sees fear as a mirror, a sacred sign of what you're ready to embrace, rather than something to avoid. Your soul guides you through what scares you most, not to punish you, but to reveal the strength you already have but haven't yet recognized. When you start seeing fear this way, something powerful shifts. You stop chasing it or running from it. You feel it, honor it, and open yourself to its lesson. Then a new state emerges, not the absence of fear, but the presence of inner power. Power that doesn't need to prove anything, that neither attacks nor defends, but simply knows itself. Now that we know fear isn't an enemy to be destroyed, but an energy to understand, face, and transform, we need to go deeper and see how it can be turned step by step into real spiritual power. This inner alchemy is what many traditions call the fire of initiation. Ancient alchemists worked not just with metals but with the soul. To them, fear was the raw lead needed to create the gold of awakened consciousness. This powerful metaphor still guides those who choose to see their shadows not as flaws, but as keys to true growth. What does transforming fear look like in practice? First, realize that fear has a body. It lives in your nervous system, shows up as gut feelings, tightness in your chest, the urge to run. So the first step in transforming fear is to fully feel it without becoming it. Most people don't actually feel their fear. They block it, overthink it, or turn it into anger. But the true alchemist stays present inside the emotional fire, as if saying, "Here I am, no running, no fighting, no denying, just observing." In that moment, something amazing happens. Fear begins to dissolve, not because it's defeated, but because it's embraced with presence. That presence starts to reorganize the energy in your body. But that's not all. The next step is to reinterpret fear, because what we call fear often carries deep messages from the soul. For example, if you fear failure, the real question isn't, "How do I avoid it?" but "Why do I need success to feel worthy?" This shows that fear often comes from a false idea about who you are, and that idea can be rewritten. This is where consciousness comes in. You are not your fears. You are the space where fear appears. This awareness is key. When you identify with fear, it keeps its hold. But when you watch it from a higher place, fear loses power because it becomes just a visitor, not the center of your world. Here's an important spiritual tool: conscious breathing. When fear hits, don't breathe on autopilot. Breathe intentionally. Breathe into the place where you feel the tension, thinking, "I am presence." Then breathe out, thinking, "I release this fear." This simple practice resets your body and activates your parasympathetic nervous system, bringing a sense of safety inside. Another key point: fear needs to be expressed, not through drama, but through movement and mindful speech. Many spiritual teachers say that unexpressed emotions get stuck in the soul. That's why singing, dancing, crying, and deep writing are powerful ways to clear energy. Finally, there's vibrational replacement. Once you empty the space fear took up, you can't leave it empty. You need to fill it with something new: faith, gratitude, vision. Visualize it, say it, repeat it with belief. I am safe, I am guided, I am ready to become who I was meant to be. This act isn't just symbolic, it's quantum. The universe responds not to your words, but to your energy. When you start vibrating with certainty instead of doubt, the universe answers with synchronicities, opportunities, and open doors. So fear stops being your jailer. It becomes your guide, your threshold, your initiation. And when you step through, there's no emptiness on the other side, only freedom. And the best part? You don't have to be ready to start. You just need to decide. Decide that you won't obey the shadow anymore, that you'll keep walking even if your legs shake, that you'll love even if it hurts, that you'll speak even if your voice trembles. Because on the other side of fear is the life your soul has always dreamed of. Now that you understand fear as energy, as a teacher, and as a gateway to your inner power, it's time to move from theory to practice. Real spiritual transformation doesn't happen in books or ideas. It happens in real life, in your daily choices, your recurring thoughts, how you respond when fear shows up at your door. Here's a simple but powerful guide to help you start freeing yourself from fear and move confidently toward your inner strength. 1. Name and define your fear. Ignoring fear only feeds it. When you push it into the shadows, it grows. Each day, take a moment to close your eyes, breathe deeply, and honestly ask yourself, what am I afraid of today? Say it out loud or write it down without judging it. Make it visible. Example, I'm afraid of being alone. I fear failing this project. I worry I won't be enough for others. 2. Turn it into a mantra of power. Once you've named your fear, flip it into a positive, high-energy statement. Words carry energy, and what you say with feeling shapes your reality. Example, fear, I'm afraid nobody will listen to me. Mantra, my voice matters. What I share touches hearts and changes lives. Write it, say it, feel it, let it be your shield. 3. Breathe into presence. When fear comes up, remember, you're not just a reaction, you are awareness. Next time anxiety, tension, shaking, or avoidance hit, don't run, stay. Take 10 conscious breaths, sending air to where you feel tightness. Breath formula, inhale, I am safe. Exhale, I release fear. Repeat until you feel your energy shift. This trains you to respond instead of react. 4. Face what you fear symbolically. Fear needs action to dissolve. It won't just fade with ideas. Each week, do something that pushes your comfort zone. Record a video, share a truth, approach someone, accept a challenge. The goal isn't the outcome, but moving forward despite fear. These small steps send a powerful message to the universe and your subconscious that fear no longer controls you. 5. Cleanse your energy field. Daily, fear sticks to your energy like dust on skin. You need daily spiritual cleansing, and it doesn't have to be complicated. Take mindful showers, imagining water washing away your fears. Burn sandalwood, sage, or palo santo. Practice fire meditation. Picture a flame in your solar plexus, burning away doubts. Doing this daily keeps your vibration high and steady when life gets stormy. 6. Build fear-resistant environments. Fear thrives in toxic, negative, or overwhelming spaces. Watch your social circles, media habits, and mental patterns. Ask yourself, does this conversation lift me up or drain me? Does this content empower me or hypnotize me? Am I feeding fear or light? Change what you need to without guilt, with strength. 7. Thank your fear before letting it go. Finally, honor fear's role. Without it, you wouldn't know yourself so deeply. Acknowledge its original job to protect you, then release it like armor you no longer need. Thank you, fear, for teaching me. Now I choose freedom. In that small but powerful moment, you begin to be reborn. The path to invincibility isn't about having no fear. It's about having courage, awareness, and aligned action. And now you have the tools to start. You've walked a path few dare to take, facing fear not as an enemy, but as a doorway. That shift changes everything. While the world runs from fear, you've chosen to stop, observe, and most importantly, cross through. This isn't a battle between light and dark. It's an alchemical process of integration. Fear is part of being human, yes, but it's not the master of your destiny. It's just an echo of an old story that, thanks to your awareness, can now be rewritten. You've learned fear comes from the illusion of separation, from the false belief that you're alone, not enough, or that the universe isn't on your side. But that illusion fades when you awaken to who you really are, an eternal spark of the whole, a creative force, a powerful soul living in this world. To understand fear is to start mastering it. To feel fear without becoming it is to begin transforming it. To act despite it is to become the alchemist of your reality. Every time you move forward with shaky legs, speak with a trembling voice, or choose trust without guarantees, you become the spiritual warrior you were meant to be. But this journey doesn't end here. It's an art you perfect every day, in every choice you make, every feeling you watch instead of hide, every step toward your soul's truth. And here's the big reveal. Once you stop running from fear, the universe stops placing it in your path. Life isn't here to punish you. It wants to teach you, refine you, help you remember you were made for more, to vibrate higher, serve with purpose, and walk with unshakable trust. Invincible isn't the one who never feels fear. Invincible is the one who decides that love of truth is stronger than fear of loss. And you who've come this far have already crossed a threshold. Now it's time to act, to anchor this wisdom, to share it with others. You're not alone. You're supported by a higher intelligence that responds to your energy. And when you walk in faith, the whole universe conspires in your favor. So from my soul to yours, I invite you, dare, speak, create, love, not from absence of fear, but from the presence of power. If this message spoke to you, subscribe, ring the bell, leave a like, and share this video with those who need to remember their inner strength. Tell us in the comments, what fear are you ready to release today? Because the first step to freedom is naming it. See you on the next journey of consciousness.